Coming up on City Spotlight, it's highlights of Veterans Day 2024 across Central Illinois. First, we're in Dieterich with Veterans Day services in Dieterich. Then, we'll learn about flightless honor flights in Effingham. And then we'll hear about experiences from veterans and loved ones from Mattoon. It's Veterans Day 2024 with services and interviews from the communities of Dieterich, Effingham, and Mattoon here on City Spotlight.
It's almost impossible to imagine life without internet today. It keeps us connected to work, school, and loved ones, no matter where they are. Fidium Fiber Internet now serves over 1 million locations, providing reliable, consistent service that keeps these connections strong. From vibrant cities to quiet rural areas, fiber broadband is a key driver of economic growth. Fidium is dedicated to supporting communities and enhancing lives through this essential technology. Learn more at fidiumfiber.com.
Welcome to the Dieterich Unit 30's annual Veterans Day tribute. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and remove all hats for the presentation of
Hello, my name is Emma Beckman, and I'm the president of the Dieterich FFA. It is my privilege to tell you about this year's honored veteran, Mr. Norbert Lustig. Norbert Lustig was raised in a big old farmhouse in Jasper County, Illinois. He comes from a large family of 10 children, 5 boys and 5 girls. All 10 children were born at home. Service to their country runs deep in the Lustig family, as all 5 boys served in the armed forces. Jerry, Charlie, and BJ in the Navy, and Wendell and Norbert in the Army. Norbert's oldest brother, Jerry, joined the Navy and served on a battleship at Pearl Harbor. Jerry was at Pearl Harbor when the Japanese attacked on December 7, 1941. He was assigned to a machine gun and was able to successfully shoot down 2 enemy planes, and quite possibly a plane. Charlie enlisted in the Navy and was assigned to a ship in the South Pacific. DJ was in the Navy on a tanker ship that hauled fuel to ships in the Far East, Japan, China, and Korea, among other locations throughout the world. The tanker could hold 100 rail cars of fuel. The ship was heavily guarded, especially while fueling, by 4 battleships. Wendell was in the Army. He served in Korea. Norbert entered the Army in 1956. It was peacetime. He was stationed at Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri and Camp McCoy in Wisconsin. From the years 1941 through 1958, there were at least 2 Lustig boys in the armed forces. All came home safely after those 17 years of service to their country. Thank you, Mr. Lustig, for your service to our country.
Students at Dieterich schools were challenged to create tributes in honor of Veterans Day. One winner was chosen from each of the 6 divisions. The winners from each division will receive a $25 prize. At this time, we will have the winners from Division 1 and 2 come forward to read their tribute. The Division 1 winner is Claire Niemer from Mrs. Wright's 2nd grade class.
Dear veterans, I am so glad you save us. You save everyone. Veterans, you are so brave. You fight for everyone. You fly on a plane in the sky. You ride on a boat on the sea. You help the flag. You are so, so strong. You are my hero. Thank you for everything, veterans. Love, Claire and Niemerk.
The Division II winner is Ella Niemerk from Mrs. Worman's 4th grade class.
Veterans are a very important part in our country, and here's why. These heroes have to be very brave. For that reason, they have to go out and fight for our country and our freedom. Soldiers have to be fearless, considering they have to go out for war and they cannot be scared of what they do. The military has to be very focused. They always need to pay attention to what is going on at all times. Brave soldiers have to be willing, since they go out and fight for our freedom and our country. Veterans are not just giving up one life, they're giving up two. The life that they lived and the life that they were going to live. I think we should appreciate the military every day for what they have done for us.
At this time, we'll have the winners from Divisions 3 and 4 come forward to read their tributes. The winner from Division 3 is Nathan Brummer from Mr. McManaway's 6th grade class.
Veterans, what do you think of when you hear the word veterans? I think of brave and courageous men and women that went out of their way to serve our country willingly. I made a flag for all the veterans because of what they did for us. To start off, I would like to thank the veterans for all they did for our country. I put a bald eagle in the center of my flag to represent courage. All the veterans that served must have a lot of courage to leave their family and serve our country. I also put 4 hearts on my flag because the number 4 represents determination. I think veterans are very determined because they never gave up in battle. I made hearts and colored them red because hearts and the color red represent love. I put these on my flag to show my love to all veterans that served. Then I decided to make the background blue because the color blue represents freedom. I want to express freedom because of all them hardworking men and women went out of their way, leaving our country, leaving everything behind them just because they wanted to keep us safe. In summary, I think that veterans are some of the most important people in our country. I'm proud of myself for making this flag. Thank you all, and especially thank you, veterans.
The winner from Division 4 is Violet Iffert from Mrs. Blummer's 8th grade class.
Veterans Day. This day our nation honors all, every man and woman who stood brave and tall. To the ones who lived and to the ones who died, we give our thanks with so much pride. They fought for our country and our rights through endless days and endless nights. So brave and so strong, our veterans fought on and on. During times of peace and times of war, this country couldn't have asked for more. The loyalty and sacrifice our heroes gave, they served our country long beyond their grave. The USA would be nothing without you. To the people who represented the red, white, and blue, we give you all of our thanks and admiration for serving this free nation.
Thanks to you both for your wonderful tributes. At this time, we will have a special performance of the Grand Old Flag by the K-6 choir along with the 4th grade class with bucket drummers.
Every
have two final tributes from Division 5 and 6. The Division 5 winner is Lena Goebel from Mrs. Benefield's English 2 class.
The sacrifice you have made, the long hard days you have paid, through blood, sweat, and tears, you have faced every fear. We give you our thanks for joining our country's ranks, for endangering your life and taking on American strife. You didn't do it for the fame, nor for everyone to know your name. You did it for the red, white, and blue, and for the values that you hold true. We give you our respect and think of you and reflect on all the hardships you have met, protecting us against enemy threat. On every 11th of November, we think of you and remember all the battle scars of veterans near and far. Thank you, veterans.
The Division 6 winner is Andrew Hall from Mr. Repking's U.S. History class.
What is Veterans Day? Veterans Day is a day that we celebrate all the men and women who served for our country. They could have served in the Army, Navy, or even the Air Force. No matter what branch, race, or gender, anyone who served for our country is a veteran to me. On the calendar, Veterans Day is celebrated on November 11th. It's celebrated then because on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the fighting of World War I ended. However, to all of us, Veterans Day should be celebrated in our hearts every day. The importance of Veterans Day goes beyond a day off of school or work. It was a sacrifice for not only the men and women that fought, but for their friends and family too. It took bravery, honor, and sacrifice to fight for our country. Being gone from your family for long amounts of time, missing holidays, birthdays, and special family events couldn't have been easy. But for the brave men and women that fought, this was done without a thought because of their love for this country. It is the least we can do to show them our appreciation for all they have done. To me, we should show our appreciation every day of our lives because without the people who died for us, we wouldn't be alive. People and businesses all over have their own ways to celebrate Veterans Day, like writing letters, having ceremonies, or group meals. But the real question is, what can you do to thank a veteran on Veterans Day?
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and join me in a rousing applause thanking all military service personnel for serving our nation. Please remain standing for the playing of taps by Leah Galbraith.
Donald Dorn. I was in the Army, and I was a sergeant, squad leader in the infantry.
Wonderful services here in Dieterich. Tell us about this day and what it means to be here and be here with these other veterans in the community of Dieterich.
It means a whole lot because this community is really behind their veterans, and they really stand up for us and do a lot of things.
It's pretty evident by the beautiful memorial that you have as the backdrop. Talk about Dieterich having a memorial like that to be able to have this type of ceremony and setting.
Yes, the village went beyond their means when they built this memorial, and it really means a lot to all the veterans that they represent.
And finally, what does Veterans Day mean to you, Donnie?
I don't know. It just makes an honor that I was able to serve the country, and I would do it again.
It's just a wonderful day. It's all student-led, which we kind of plan it that way, just to kind of reiterate to the students the importance of the day and being able to give back to the community and give back to our veterans. Dieterich has a long-standing tradition of supporting the military. It goes all the way back to World War I, when Dieterich actually sent a little over 70 men out to France to fight for our country in a machine gun group made up of individuals exclusively from the Dieterich community. And then the tradition of giving back to our veterans kind of started way back then.
Roughly how long have these type of services been going on?
Oh my, it's as long as I've been here, and before that. Kind of a neat story. I came here in 2007 and was just in awe of the Veterans Day program that we have. And we've been blessed every year with good weather that we have never had to have the program inside. It's always been able to be held outside at our beautiful memorial.
A beautiful day with a beautiful backdrop that you just mentioned, the beautiful memorial that you have. Talk about the memorial and what it means and stands for Dieterich.
Yeah, it's just a true community effort with the fundraising, the construction, and as you can see, it's a true tribute to those who have served our country, and it is one of the centerpieces of our community. It's in the center of the Liberty Memorial Park. A lot of our guests, as they're coming to and from the school or to and from ball games, get to see it. And we've really had a lot of visitors from outside the community just come here to just spend time here and go through the memorial.
The location is, as you mentioned, is very important in Dieterich, and it's right outside the schools. And so for yourself, staff, and students, goes almost every day you are reminded of the veterans and what this means to the community.
Absolutely, and we try to ingrain that into our curriculum and into our part of what we teach our students is respect for the veterans and the community mindedness, how important community is.
And lastly, you mentioned right off the beginning of you talking about this involved the students, very student-centered services, MC, the speeches, the students sitting right up front. The importance of having the students be the focus. Why is that?
Absolutely. It goes back to like I mentioned, it's part of our responsibility to teach the next generation that respect and for our veterans and to honor them every year. So it's ingrained in what we do.
I thought we'd just get here and see a little movie and that would be it. I didn't expect to see all the people show up and come in and shake hands.
For years, veterans like James Stevenson have traveled to Washington, D.C. on what's called an honor flight, a free trip to the nation's capital to visit memorials that honor their time in service.
My dad was able to fly out of Springfield and go to Washington before he passed away, and it was the greatest feeling he had in the whole world.
But for a number of reasons, some veterans just can't make the trip.
When I would call them to register them for the flights, I would get a lot of no answers. And from health reasons to you name it. Some of them just had an excuse why they just didn't want to go on the flight for whatever reason.
But veteran coordinator for Land of Lincoln Honor Flights, Stephen Wheeler, has another way of getting them on board.
So I just really was disappointed with all that, and made the decision one day that if these veterans aren't going to come to us, we're going to go to them.
On Wednesday, Sarah Bush Lincoln, the Coles County Council on Aging, the Senior Services of Effingham, and the Land of Lincoln Honor Flights invited local veterans to depart on what's called a flightless honor flight.
It's an honor flight where it honors all the veterans who, get to see all of the memorials and see all of the great, statues and memorabilia there in Washington, D.C. However, with it being flightless, it's all done, in film format. So the travelers get to travel it through the eye of the camera.
And after their trip, veterans on board the Effingham flight got a surprise visit.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for your service.
From the Effingham Fire Department.
I really enjoyed this presentation this evening. The pictures brought back a lot of memories.
They put their life on hold and decided that if they lost their life, they would be willing to do that to give us and this country the freedoms and the constitutional rights that we have. How do you beat that?
Let's talk a little bit about your experience. You were in the Navy for a few years in the 50s. Just talk about yourself and what the Navy meant to you.
Navy was quite interesting. My older brother, by the name of Don, who had been in the Navy Air Force before I was, he decided that if I was going to go in, that was the place to go because they had a lot of good training programs. And I took his advice, went through boot camp, and went into aviation training.
And so you've flown a lot of planes and stuff during your career?
Well, most of the time, in the early part of my career, after I've gone through electronics, they made me clean the barracks. And I thought it was kind of strange. After spending all that money on me, it was like 8 months of electrical physics. However, it paid off later because it qualified me to finish my science end at Eastern.
That's good.
So I only had to take one other course to do that. But that was the experience that we had from that standpoint.
You were in the Navy in the 1950s. I mean, you weren't involved in any conflicts or anything. But talk about you have some memories that kind of just come to mind about being in the Navy in the 50s.
One thing that I thought was interesting, I was standing guard duty in the cryptography room, and there was a lot of activity down there, and I started thinking about what could that be. And I had read in the paper about the day before that the Nautilus submarine was the first nuclear submarine. And my guess was that they were probably coming that way. They were notifying our local fleet air wing so they could track them, because that's what we did, is track submarines.
Okay. I want to get back to you in a minute. I want to talk to Carolyn just for a second. Carolyn, one of the things that you've always been just, one of the firm believers in our troops and our veterans over the past, since I've known you for 20-some years. Where did you get your inspiration from? Was it from your father or from other things that happened, or what?
Well, it started with my father. He was 23-year military. He was in World War II, and then he got out, and he was out for 2 years and joined back up the newly formed Air Force. And so I was born on a military base, and I guess my father just taught us to be respectful and to appreciate what those who've served.
And your father in World War II was one of the ones who landed on Omaha Beach.
He did land on Omaha Beach. He was an engineer, and his job was he was tasked to clean the beach of debris, which he said when he first got on the beach, of course, he was in the second wave. He said all anyone was doing was trying to find something to hide behind because they were shooting at us. And then later on, as the day wore on, he had to clean the debris, and a great deal of that debris was bodies. They had to bury them in the sand so the troops and the equipment could come through. And my dad said of all the things that he saw, and he was at Dachau actually when it was liberated, which was horrible. He told me about that as well, but he said it always haunted him about burying those boys on the beach, because he said they'd been looked at and determined to be deceased, but he said, I always in my mind thought, what if somebody was still alive? So that really haunted him.
It's almost impossible to imagine life without internet today. It keeps us connected to work, school, and loved ones, no matter where they are. Fidium Fiber Internet now serves over 1 million locations, providing reliable, consistent service that keeps these connections strong. From vibrant cities to quiet rural areas, fiber broadband is a key driver of economic growth. Fidium is dedicated to supporting communities and enhancing lives through this essential technology. Learn more at fidiumfiber.com.